There is nothing in the fish industry, in the hobby, quite like glowfish. It is the first truly scientifically synthetic animal that has been created. It is not something that is achievable by hobbyists. It requires substantial scientific laboratory experience. It is an intensely difficult process, and one that can only be achieved with the expenditure of extraordinary amounts of time, money, and resources. Nevertheless, we now have a genetically enhanced fish. In point of fact, more than one. The betta has been genetically enhanced, the angelfish, and there will be others. So, here's Bill, probably the most advanced and sophisticated tropical fish breeder, perhaps in the world, certainly in the United States. He is a man who has raised probably 1 billion fish in his life. He has a story to tell, one that is interesting, indeed fascinating, and that I think you will appreciate when you understand what really went into the development of the glowfish.
Well, hello. Come right on in. You're at Father Fish.
How many fish have you spawned in your life?
At the farm, I was putting out about 25 million fry a year.
25 million a year.
Yeah.
You are responsible for the glowfish.
I was the husbandry production guy. I worked closely with the super brilliant scientist that did the actual inputting of the DNA into the single cell of the fishes. It was my responsibility to keep them alive and raise them up and see if the trait showed or if it passed on to generations. And once we established it's a dominant trait, well, there's no dyeing, there's no injecting, there's no painting or tattooing. This is a real deal. But that way, from the time they're hatched to the time they're fertilized, actually, to the time they die. When I got them, and once we set the trait, and we had total body color, then from all those came from one fish. It's one founder fish. They patent and trademarked that one fish. And then I had to get them up to production number. We're talking stocking a pond at 20 to 30,000 fish. So you had to have brood stock to support continually putting out ponds of that quantity. And we started with the Danio, the red Danio, and we did the 5 colors of Danio because it went through an FDA, because they consider it medicine. It was a genetically modified organism, so they consider it medicine, so by USDA. And the amount of paperwork and data that the scientists I worked with had to collect, and I mean, it wasn't the $10,000 or so that the FWC is talking about for the, it was over 100,000 per color.
Huh.
Not for one species of fish, all the colors, no, for each individual color. They had to run all the tests. They had to do LD50s, a point at which half the animals die, for temperature, for the productivity of the species, if they produce more or less. I mean, he did volumes and volumes of papers. It's like doing a doctor's thesis to me on each animal. But he did the injections. It all starts with a single cell, fertilized egg, single cell stage, plasmids put in, and off it goes. And it always doesn't take. Nowadays, I've been retired for, 15 years now. So I'm sure with the CRISPR technology and the innovations of the DNA stuff, they can more accurately put the color where they want it on the DNA. That was a problem. You put it in, and sometimes it inserts in the right place to show color, sometimes in multiple places, sometimes not at all. So it was a lot of fun. It put me back in college, put me back in biology labs, because I had to keep all these animals individually identified till we got a yay or nay on them. So it was back to challenging. It was a lot of fun. I still had to be the production guy for all the regular farm fish, but that was a side job I had to squeeze in. I enjoyed it. Looks like you enjoy what you're doing. It's not work, right?
Yeah, amen. Why does one, such as myself, who adheres to and believes in a natural approach to the hobby, have any interest whatever in something like a glowfish? I guess the main reason I'm interested is because of the enormous impact it has had on the hobby. It has brought countless numbers of people into the hobby, particularly children. It has created a decor mentality for fish that I find somewhat disturbing because of its lack of natural support. So it presents a challenge. The challenge is to find ways to demonstrate to hobbyists that this is an animal like any other that does best when it is in a natural environment, in spite of it being unnatural to the extreme. It is nevertheless still an animal that needs to be in an environment that is conducive to its basic biological needs.